We are live, baby, again. Try number 2. My gosh. Welcome, guys. Formerly known as Break the Chalk, we are now 4th and 1 podcast. I guess we're kind of screwing around with the name, but 4th and 1. 4th and 1. We're a football podcast. Coach Trey's in the building. Rusey Badass here. We're here to give you the best bets and the best, we're just going to shoot the shit, man. We're going to have a fun time talking. I think we're pretty good at this betting thing, and I think we're going to go in. So, Trey, anything to say before we get started?
I really kind of just want to kick tires and light fires, man. That's kind of my motto in everything that I do. And I think a lot of the time whenever you do this, you just want winners. And I promise you, this is not something that we started doing last week. This is something that we have tried to perfect over the last couple of years and dialed this up in the off season, which I don't believe exists. But as the off season of podcasts, there's never an off season for college football, and which is what we're trying to focus on here. And we're going to give you some really good things. There's going to be some times in which we may talk about your team and you might not like what we have to say, but that's what the comment section is for.
Yeah. That's
what the feedback is for. And again, there's no really dog in the fight for us. We just want to make money. And I promise you, we wouldn't try to give you the pick if we didn't think it would make us some money. Because when I say I'm laying my own money on it, like it's going on my account either before or right after the show. So just getting forward through it here, I'm really excited, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
That is true. And throughout this whole series and this whole journey, you're going to probably figure out who our favorite team or teams are. I will say that, Trey, when we did this run in 2018, 2019, you did call Joey Burrow early on to win the Heisman, and I laughed at you. And I'm eating crow there because that would have been some good money. That was one of the best performances as far as a season is concerned that I've ever seen.
That was one of those shots in the dark, man. You really kind of had to look at those odds, but Vegas is never going to let that happen again. We will get into, by the way, who we think our Heisman odds are going to be. We'll get into that here in a minute. We don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of things coming for this channel, a lot of positivity, different directions that we think that you guys will appreciate and like. But most importantly, a little bit of a background. Russo and I have been friends for a pretty long time. So what we're doing, guys, is literally just bringing our phone calls and online game conversations literally to a live broadcast. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're going to try to keep as mild-mannered of a banter as we could possibly get. We may even do some some different things coming down the pipe here. I don't want to give too much away right now. But anyway, let's just get right into it. What you think?
Yep, saving that for the fight. We're going to start with SEC. This video, SEC best season bets. No games individually, just the regular season prop bets for national titles, conference wins, Heisman odds potentially. We're going to touch on all of that for the SEC today. We're going to get into other odds for other leagues down the road. But the SEC is our bread and butter, man. We're pretty damn confident as far as the SEC is concerned. So let's get into it, man. We've got the Gators. We're going to start with them. We're going to start with the SEC East, work our way down. And we'll give you our thoughts and our insight on how we feel about the team going into the season as it stands right now. So, Trey, what you got to say about the Gators?
A lot of things about the Florida Gators what might raise your level of confidence just a little bit if you kind of read into the tea leaves a little bit. And, again, I'm not going to even pretend like I have an insight here on the Florida Gators program, but I do know a couple of things. Having the right people in place matters. Billy Napier, if you listen to SEC Media Days, I think had a lot of mild-mannered, very boring things to say. But boring isn't, what gets you in a 4th and 1 type situation and you lose that. Boring is staying confident in what you believe in, the disposition about your players, the immediacy, the attention to detail, and stuff like that. Personally, I'm betting on the come for Florida. I have Anthony. I have this at 7 with the over around like minus 125 with the under at 105. It's a really, really touchy subject for me. Mm-hmm. And Anthony, I think, is going to get to that here in a second because there's a couple of points that I think he wants to make that I kind of want to jump off of.
Yeah, man. I mean, so as far as you said, he is a boring guy. I mean, he came from Lafayette. However, I have read into some of the players' comments, and they are bought in already to Billy Napier. I think they believe in him. I know they've said a couple of things as far as that he cares. He's made practices lighter. He's a player's coach, and I think they've already bought into him, which is good for a younger team that's transitioning right now, because I think they've kind of been stuck in this middle ground right now as far as their talent. They're sending some guys to the draft. Some guys aren't as talented as they thought they were. I'm with you, man. Their schedule, it's the basic schedule. I've got for them 4 wins, 2 losses, and 6 50-50 games, and the line's right at 7. If you assume they split those 50-50 games, that puts them right at 7 wins. I don't think it's worth touching, and if you're going to go anywhere on this, it's the under 4.5 regular season conference wins. It's a little juicy, minus 145, but I mean, they've got some tough non-conference games in Utah and USF. Even Eastern Washington can maybe throw in a bone there. I say stay away, though. I think they're just too new of a team. They've got a lot of talent coming in. Give them another year. I think they could be contending for an SEC East title or a chance to win the SEC title. But I say stay away unless you're touching that under 4.5 conference wins total. So that's it for them. There's just not much to say on them. Anthony Richardson's a good quarterback. Athlete, more of an athlete, right? I mean, I don't think he's anything like a good passer. Lamar Jackson, no, but maybe a couple steps below Lamar Jackson, what he is. Maybe a better passer than Lamar, because Lamar's not a great passer, in my opinion. But that's my opinion on Anthony Richardson.
I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I think I don't know if we even maybe talked about this yet, but for those of you that are going to be pulling for Gators, if you log in and you listen in, the Gators are going to be a game week bet kind of team for us. It's not going to be you need to take them for boom, boom, boom reason. No. We're going to wait and see what we have. I'll personally say that before we get to the game, not today, but before we get to the game, I do have an opinion on their first game of the season. I'll say this. If you're going to get to Florida, get to them early, because Billy Napier is going to figure it out. He's going to figure it out fast. I have a lot of confidence in what seems like an entire Louisiana coaching staff for the man. I think Florida you're going to bet on the come for them. As far as the regular season total, I personally, I'm going to stay away from it. If anything, maybe touch that under on their conference wins at 4.5, like you said. But I think that kind of leads up into, what the next team that we're going to talk about, which is the Georgia Bulldogs. Again, if you're going to do what I think most people are going to do, is you're going to assume, and we do this thing with Alabama and Ohio State, where they send 1,000 people to the draft, and we just assume they're going to be okay. But for everybody else, you get to the A&Ms and the LSUs and the Michigans and the Penn States of the world. All these people lose 10, 12 draft picks, and all of a sudden you think the sky is falling on them. But we never really know where to put Georgia in that, because they have recruiting titles, but now they actually have the title to rest their hat on. Personally, if you have the gall to lay minus 240 on over 10.5, please be my guest. Personally, I'm going under. I think there's a lot of reasons why the SEC East is going to be what I like to call weird. And we're going to get to that here in a second. And I think we're kind of aligned on this one. I'm taking the under, and that's plus 105 or 195 rather. 195 according to DraftKings.
Yeah, and by the way, our odds are not sponsored. Maybe one day we'll be gifted to be sponsored by DraftKings. Strictly DraftKings. I think they have the best props for basically anything.
They do.
FanDuel is a good parlay site, and maybe when we get into the player props, which I'm a player prop god, man. Okay, I'm a player prop guy. When we're on this show and you like player props, look at Rusey Badass, man. I am all about the player props. I think it's the funnest part of betting. About Georgia, man, they had the one of those historic defenses last year, right? I mean, they lost 15 people in the draft, or not 15 defense, right? Did they lose 15 even backups?
Yeah, they set a lot. They set a record.
My gosh. Anyways, like Trey said, man, there's just not much you can do. If you're confident in them, I've got them at 10 wins, 0 losses, and 2 50-50 games. And those 50-50 games being Tennessee and Mississippi State. And you're going to be like, wow, why are you saying Mississippi State? We're going to get there real quick. Anyways, 10.5, not worth minus 230 in my opinion. I don't think you should bet the under either. I think that's a complete stay away. I think the 7.5, they'd have to go 8-0 in conference play. I'm scared. I'm scared of the SEC. Some teams in there. I don't like that bet either. To make the playoffs is minus 115. That would probably be my lean if I had to say anything, just because you think now with how the playoffs are working, you definitely get a loss or maybe even two with the playoffs right now, especially with a team like Georgia, defending champs, SEC prowl. They've got Stetson Bennett back. I don't think Stetson Bennett's the world. I think he's kind of like a Jimmy G. He gets the job done. I heard they've got a guy named Branson Robinson. He's a fresh talent from Germantown High School. He's a running back. I heard he's Saquon-like, man. I heard he squats 600 pounds. He's got this. He's built different. I'm just giving you quotes from his teammates. It's tough to explain without seeing the greatness in person. That is what someone within their organization said. It's scary because they gave up 3 running backs. I think their offense is going to lead the way more this year compared to their defense. I just don't think you have enough turnover with the freshmen to make up for all the people they lost. So I'm with you, man. I think to make the playoffs is maybe the only bet, minus 115. I say stay away from it, though. It's just not worth it. I mean, too much turnover, too much risk, way better bets out there. Just let them ride, and maybe that's a bet you make during the season. You see how good some of these freshmen are, like I mentioned with that running back. Let's see how they play. Let's see if Bennett maybe loses his job, because I heard there's some good freshman talent in there at the quarterback position too. So that's it for Georgia. On to Kentucky, man. Weird team. They had a really good year last year for their standards. They lost their offensive coordinator. They've got their quarterback and their running back back. They got Will Levis, who I want to get your opinion on him. I know you read quarterbacks pretty well. I think Will Levis is a pretty good quarterback. And Chris Rodriguez Jr. is a good running back. That tandem worked really well last year, but they lost a lot of people on the line on both sides, and I think that's going to affect their season. So what say you on Kentucky?
I've been more bullish on Kentucky than a lot of people. I think Will Levis is probably going to be up there. Look, everybody's kind of donning him as, I kind of get like the Trey Lance vibes from him, man. They're kind of betting on like the come more than, like the proven commodity. I'm not saying that the man's not good. And again, I'm not going to pretend to know everything about him. But what I do know is that Kentucky plays sound football. An incredible amount of offensive line talent. I think that Stoops has them doing the right things the right way and the little things the right way. But the thing with Kentucky, when you say weird, is I have them at 8 right now from DK at minus 115 and then 105 the other way on the under. They get kind of like a layup, Miami of Ohio. And then they're going right into Gainesville in week 2. Now, again, listen, if you're going to do anything, you're going to bet against Florida. If you're going to do it early. Like bet on if you have 50-50 games and you're looking at it and it's week 2 and week 8 for Kentucky and you're saying they got to win one of these, bro. Which one is it going to be? It's got to be the first one. And the reason why is because you have to assume, based on what we don't know because we haven't seen the teams play, right? We have not seen these teams play. Based on that, we have to go on spring footage, intel, and then anything and everything that you see on Twitter or whatever the social media platform is you get your information from. And so what I'm going to look at is a coach that's been doing this for a long time. I think Kentucky's probably going to be about maybe a pick 'em field goal. Probably would lean Kentucky in that game if I think Florida's going to start the way that they're going to start. I personally am not going to put my money on anything for Kentucky as far as a win total. I will be sneak peek. I will be having a pick on the Kentucky-Florida game. The trickiest one on this entire schedule. I'm gonna try to wrap Kentucky for me quickly, just because I know how excited we can get when we go down this rabbit hole. But the most exciting game for me, and a lot of people are gonna find this to be funny. The most exciting game for me is gonna be whenever they go to Oxford. They play Oxford on October 1st. Please listen to me whenever I say this. If you're the kind of person that reads into body language and reads into how players talk about things, there's a lot of people that think that whenever Lane Kiffin showed up to SEC Media Day, that he was in no way or shape or form excited about being there. He looked sad, looked like he didn't really know what he had to do, had his hands folded, you know what I mean? Like one of those. Yeah. They've got Tulsa the week before that game. Tulsa is one of those teams that's going to smash you in the mouth. You're going to beat them, but they're going to punch you in the face probably 4 or 5 good times. Before that, I think that's an overlook spot for Ole Miss. I think that's a spot where they know they're going to have an SEC team come on the road and come to their house and they need to steal one, kind of like a sneak peek into Ole Miss. Watch Kentucky go into there. Watch that be their statement game. If they win that game, whole season's different. If they lose that game, whole season's different. It is the pendulum game for them. Mark the tape, put it on there. I'm telling you.
I agree. And look, I think so. I heard their offensive line has lost. I want to say 3 or 4 starters, but they've received high praise from the spring and into the media day. So I expect their O-line to be good. Stoops is he's a great O-line coach. To me, I think I agree. Ole Miss is the game. I am higher on Ole Miss than Kentucky. So I am going to lean towards the under for both, honestly. And I feel pretty confident. Under 8 is -115 for the regular season totals. Okay. And under 4.5 is -110. To me, with the SEC, Florida and Ole Miss and South Carolina, those 3 games, I can easily see them 1-2 in those first 3 games. Mississippi State's underrated, and Kentucky has a great defense. I think they lean more on their defense, and they've got a great running game. But when you get into shootouts with these teams like Ole Miss and Mike Leach's Mississippi State, it's tough to lean on the run game when you're just constantly getting air raided. And that's what Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach do in those Mississippi colleges, man. I'm telling you, man, I'm really high on both of those schools this year. I think they're 1-2 in those first 3 games. Oh, my bad. I think they're 1-3. I think Florida wins that game. I think they're 1-3 for their first 4 SEC games. Tennessee, I'm very high on. That's 1-5. Missouri, Vanderbilt probably both win, so that's 3. And then you got Georgia. Ole Miss is a pivotal game. I think Ole Miss and Mississippi State, they have to go 2-0 to win the 4.5, and I don't think they do. I think they go either 1-1 at best or 0-2. So I lean under for both. You get the better odds at the SEC talent. Yeah, you got Vanderbilt and Missouri, which sucks, but they've got to win 3 more games, and I just don't see them getting past the Gators, the Rebels, the Gamecocks, Mississippi State, and Georgia. I don't see them going 3-2 in that schedule. So I'm going to go under for them. So that's our first disagreement, but it's not like a hard disagreement like I think we're going to get into down the line. So moving forward, we've got Missouri.
Yep.
Man, there's just not much to say. I tried my hardest.
Me too.
I tried my hardest, man. I tried and give them the benefit of the doubt. I know they've got some quarterback issues. They've got I want to say the running back from Stanford. His name is Elijah Young. He's a transfer. That's a notable name. Stanford. I don't know how great he was, but they've got Elijah Young. They've got a good receiver in Toski Dove. He's a senior wideout, and they've got a good freshman, Luther Burden III. 71 catches, almost 1,200 yards, and 20 touchdowns in high school. Is he going to do well against someone like Georgia? Or are you going to replicate that at Missouri, which is a low-tier SEC school? I don't know, man. 5.5 is their win total I've got for them. The over with a little bit of juice, and then 2.5 for their conference wins, plus 130 to the over. I don't know, man. When I look down the schedule, I'm low on a lot of teams that we haven't talked about. I've got them at 4 wins, 6 losses, and 2 50-50s. You split the 50-50s up, that's 5-7. I don't want to screw with that, man. I think that's right at the number. I don't think I want to rely on this team to win. And towards the end of the season, they might be playing for nothing to lose. One of those teams that just wrecks your season towards the end against a team that maybe like LSU, for example, who maybe had a disappointing season and just doesn't give a shit and doesn't play. So I say stay away. What say you?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet, man. Look, there's not a lot of things that you can say that anybody knows. Who can say that they know other than the beat writers for Missouri? I think there's a lot of reason to maybe want to go in with optimism. There's a lot of reason why Missouri should be excited for one, how Coach Drink talks. I think Coach Drink is funny as hell. Look, SEC Media Days, dude, he's funny, and he looks like a mathlete. Like he looks like he's really good at calculus.
He's a nerd.
Right, but again, man, look, if I were to say that I was going to put my money on the win total, I wouldn't. If anything, I'm going to go ahead and go under. Is it worth laying the juice because you have this amount of games you think they're going to win? These ones they're going to lose, and then you have to split the ones that they need to get. Well, who's to say that they're not going to lose one of the ones that they're supposed to win? So with a team like Missouri, you just never know. They are a shot in the dark. They're such a dark horse or rather, I shouldn't say a dark horse. They're such a
they're a dog water team, man.
It's inconsistent. Like look, whatever.
You don't want to waste your money.
More to say. Yes.
You don't want to lay your money on a dog shit team. Unless it's worth it, obviously. I mean, you've got teams like Vanderbilt who have a very low number that it's like, okay, all right, maybe we take a shot here. But when you're right in the middle there, stay away from dog water, man.
No,
it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to me, man. So let's move on.
I agree. I
don't even want to talk about it.
No, we're moving straight on to
They're a great fade spot, man. They're a great fade spot on games, but we're just talking about regular season. No one gives a shit about Missouri. So let's move on. And if you're a Missouri fan, bite me. I don't care. I really don't care. South Carolina. This is exciting now. South Carolina's, look, their coach is also exciting, man. Mr. Beamer, he's I call it Mr.
Shane.
Beamer. Yeah, Coach Shane Beamer. The one Beamer. Anyways, he gets Spencer Rattler, man. I mean, that's a big name. That's a big name. And under the radar when I was doing some research on him, Christian Beal-Smith, running back from Wake Forest.
Sure.
I think I compare him to Marshawn Lattimore. I know that's crazy, but if you look at his tape, I watched him. I had some bets on him last year with that high-power Wake Forest offense. I'm telling you, man, he's a power runner. He runs up the middle. I like him. Their defense is sus. They've got a horrible run defense, historically bad last year. I expect it to be better. They've got a few additions to the transfer portal. Man, if their run defense is there, I have them maybe third to fourth with Kentucky in the East. Their win totals at 6 for the regular season. Conference wins at 3.5. I've got them at 5 wins, 3 losses, and 4 50-50s. You split the 4 50-50s up. That's 7-5. I mean, it's not a lot of cushion. You got to rely on a quarterback that's a big name, but not necessarily proven. And Big 12 defense does not compare to SEC defense. So it's really going to rely on the arm of Spencer Rattler. What say you, man? I'm not touching it. I don't want to rely on a guy that hasn't proven himself yet, even in a weaker conference.
Kind of like what we talked about earlier, like when we kind of talked about Florida. If you're going to go one way, you maybe go the under. If this is the case, if you're really going to go one way, I think I might would go with the over, only because I think that Shane Beamer – look, say what you want. I know – there is a lot of people, both that I know – that I listen to, in media that I intake. There's a lot of people that think that dude is on it. It is a gold mine find for them. South Carolina needs to pay him whatever he wants for as long as he wants. A lot of positive momentum for them. If anything, maybe touch that over. But again, that's a week-to-week team, bet for us. I'm not touching that. That's not where my money's going. I have, by the way, not laid money on any of the teams that we have talked about yet on their win totals. Not one.
Yeah,
not one. We haven't talked about them all yet, but not one.
Yeah, I think I've got one, and I've got the under on Kentucky.
Okay.
I like the under on their conference schedule.
Right.
That's the only one I really like so far. And guys, we're gonna make a Twitter. We're gonna make a TikTok page. It's not out yet, so don't worry about that. But I mean, the season's got another month left, so we're gonna have our bets tracked on here, and we're gonna let you know what both we do. I mean, we're individuals. We like to debate. We agree most of the times, but there are times we disagree. So we'll have our bets. We'll track our bets. We'll track those, And right now, like Trey said, I only got one myself. So I'm really just not high on Kentucky. But now we're into a team that I like to talk about, and that's the Volunteers, man. And remember, they were on the shit list a couple of years ago when we did this podcast. They were on the shit list, man. We just did not like anything about them.
I don't want to talk about that.
I want to say it was BYU. I think I want to say we were really high on Tennessee, and I guess Zach Wilson said no. So, anyways, Tennessee, man, what say you? I think I know where you're going with this.
Look, I'm going to try as hard as I possibly can to hide my optimism for Tennessee. Look, if you listen to media days and you listen to the coaches talk and you just listen from point A to point B, what do they talk about? Why do they talk about it? And what do they say when they're talking about it? This is not the kind of Tennessee team that you're used to seeing before the season starts. You're kind of used to them kind of staying out of the media, kind of staying away from things, but for the wrong reasons, though. Obviously, I'm not even going to touch on with the last coach and what he has to do in the litigation that he's going through right now. But what I will say is that there is a lot of hopeful optimism around the Tennessee program. Ear to the ground, friends that I know, people that love the Volunteers, and obviously they're biased because they're fans. Look, they are a family environment. Everybody is with everyone in and out of the locker room. We're bowling together. We're eating together, going to church together. Everything is done together as a family over there. It's minus 160 for their over at 7.5. The under is 135. If there was ever a time in which you were to try to take a shot in the dark on a team to do better than you might expect, it's a lot of juice to take. I'm taking the over. I did put money on this, by the way, my own money on this. I did take the over. I got it at minus 150. I did parlay it with something that we'll get to later. So I did not bet them straight up. What do you think?
Man, I'm with you, man. I can't even hide my optimism. I love the Volunteers this year. 40 points last season, man. Almost 40 points a game.
And they scored in a hurry.
Yep, they scored in a hurry. And guess what, man? They've got basically their whole team back. Quarterback Hendon Hooker and wide receiver Cedric Tillman. The focal point of their offense right there. 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions from the quarterback. And Dynamic has a very good rush game, a big threat in the red zone. I think they've got a couple good running backs there. They've got a couple returnees. You never know with the freshmen. I think a lot of freshmen are going to be good for Tennessee. And everything I'm hearing right now indicates that they've got a freshman as the workhorse. I think his name is Justin Williams Thomas. Look out for him. I heard he's a freak. I'm not saying Heisman. I'm just saying workhorse. I think he's going to just only make Tennessee better. The defense was okay last year. I think what hurt them last year was in big games, their third down defense was just not enough to contend with some of those 50-50 games they had. And I think this year they get better there. To me, I've got them 9 wins, 0 losses, 3 50-50s. So even without the 50-50s, they're already over the 7.5. Minus 160, boo-hoo, man. It's worth it. I'm telling you. I don't see anything less than 9 wins for this team. Over 4.5 for the regular conference wins. I think they contend with Georgia, man. I'm not saying go bet them to win the East. I'm just saying, if you're going to bet anyone outside of Georgia to win the East, it's going to be them. And look, they catch them right where Bama LSU game happens, right in week 10. Is that a game that's a neutral site, or is it
what's that
played?
number?
Tennessee and the Gators, they play like that rivalry game, right? Or that's Tennessee and Georgia, or Georgia
Tennessee
and Florida.
Georgia and Florida.
Yeah, that one game. I know they play some neutral site games. This one's at Georgia. Gonna be tough, but man, I don't see them. And they play Bama too. I have that as a 50-50 game. I'm telling you, man. Don't be surprised. Do not.
Okay.
And that stretch of LSU Bama back to back. I'm telling you, man. I think if they get past LSU and they play Bama at home, so if they get past LSU in Death Valley, I'm telling you, I think I think there's a chance they can win the SEC East, too. I'm telling you. Over 7.5, regardless.
Okay.
7.5, hammering the over. As many units as you want, man. I've got a lot. I ain't gonna disclose it yet. We'll have our pages for that when we disclose that. But man, I am heavy on Tennessee.
I'm right there with you. And for all intents and purposes, I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I do this. We're gonna kind of mull into our last SEC East team. I'm going to quickly say that you and I are going to be on opposite sides of the totem pole for this, but for very, very different reasons. I am fully candid. Fully candid. I have not put my own money on this. But when you look at Vanderbilt, look, all I need is 3. You're playing Hawaii, Elon, and Northern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Missouri on that schedule. And you also are getting maybe a shot in the dark that you can contend with Wake Forest, man. Look, I'm just saying all I need is 3. This is going to be fun for me. This is not one that I'm taking too serious. But without even trying to go too much into this because I don't want to right now, this is going to be a weekly prop, like player props kind of team for me. If anything, bet the over. That is 2.5. Give me the over plus 120 if I need to have it. It's not a lot, but give me the over. Go ahead. Say what you want.
Shit.
All right.
Do not lay your money on this, man.
I'm just saying, bro. Look, I didn't do that.
You saw what the coach said at media day. He said something along the lines of Vanderbilt's going to be a contender. They're going to be a program.
That was kind of dumb to say. But that's you have to say that. You have to. You have to be a contender.
We might clip this. And it might make me look like an idiot as far as that's concerned. But I'm not touching that dog shit team. I don't want anything to do with it. They win 3, I'll pull for you.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. We pull for each other, but that's it.
Then allow me to divvy us up into what I think is going to be an extraordinarily controversial topic when we talk about the SEC West. The first team up to bat, we're going to talk about Alabama. Look, I'm going to make this short, sweet, and simple for everybody that's listening. Alabama's always going to have juice odds, no matter what it is, okay? If you look at their schedule and you tell me that there is one team that they're going to play that you think, oh, that's the one they're going to lose, shut up, you're lying. There's not one team on that schedule that you think today that you would bet your money to beat Alabama. But if you had to ask me today, I would tell you that Alabama's going to lose a game. I think that they're going to go to the SEC championship, and I think they're going to win the SEC. So if you're willing to make the bet on Alabama to go over 10.5 at minus 265, please save it. Don't do it and just bet on them at minus 145 to win the conference, because the only team that we think is going to be there at the end to compete with them, you're looking at Georgia, Tennessee, maybe Kentucky, Florida if you want to get weird. Alabama is a 17-point favorite over all those teams except maybe Georgia's a touchdown, maybe. So, but anyway, look, and again, we're going to get into this a little bit. I'm going to try to get off my pedestal here for Alabama, but that is by far the best bet that you can make.
Look, I agree. And when you judge teams like this, it's only college you can do this in, right? Because, I mean, professionally, just a whole different ballgame. But you have to look at it as like you said, they're going to be minimum 2 touchdown favorites against a lot of these teams. So why bet minus – and I got 255. I forgot what your number was for the 10.5, but that's just too much, man. You don't want to do that. Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's dropping down for a reason. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think anyone wants action on that. Even to make the playoffs, it's minus 240. Here's my play. All right. You either go national championship plus 175, minus 145 to win the whole conference. I think that's about as far as you go, minus 145. Yeah. And you got to beat Georgia. I mean, you've got to beat Georgia and you've got to beat all the SEC West teams. My one play here, and Trey can get into it. We've got a couple Heisman candidates here, man. And we're not talking about Bryce Young. We're not laying money on chalk. He's going to get into his favor, but I'm going to start with my guy, man, Jamir Gibbs.
Yeah.
He's the transfer running back from Georgia Tech, man. I just hear when Nick Saban comments about how special you are,
Mm-hmm.
you can't take that with a grain of salt. Nick Saban's one of the best football minds of all time. And I'm saying minds because sure, he went to the NFL, had a rough stint, but he knows talent when he sees it. And when you get an exceptional, some exceptional comments that he gave Gibbs, even with Trey Sanders and Jace McClellan, whatever his name is, both were on the team last year and played. So when you've got a guy who's just a freak, man. I forgot what odd. Do I have the odds here? Please tell me I do. Oh, I don't. Damn.
I've got mine.
He's definitely plus. You have Gibbs odds for the Heisman?
I do not have Gibbs odds.
I want to say he's plus 2,000 or more. You lay a shot, man. Me and Trey especially me, are eating ourselves over the Joe Burrow shot preseason from 2019. So when we have a gut pick on something with good odds, we're going with it. I really like Trey's pick here for Heisman. I think this is the play. I'm going to put some money on it when we get off this set. Get into it, man. Give me your Heisman pick.
Look, allow me to start, and again, I'm going to try to knock myself off of this podium that I'm standing on for Alabama right now. But the fact that Will Anderson's odds at the Heisman is plus 2,000 should be a federal crime in every single existing developing country that have people in it. The fact that you can make that kind of money based off of the fact that he didn't go to New York last year, I think was a crime. And again, the way that I look at this is if you think that he is anywhere close to as good as he was last year and then some, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's older, and now he's in his money year. And unless a quarterback goes crazy in the Heisman honors this year, he's going to be the first overall draft pick, barring what we don't want to happen. I'm not even going to say the I word to the kid. I think that this is if you're just going to lay your money on something, have a Heisman pick, let it be this. You're not going to get that much juice for the two quarterbacks. I think personally the Heisman Trophy winner is going to come from the SEC. And if it's to come from anywhere else, it's going to be from the Big Ten. Jamir Gibbs is a bucket. I remember that kid getting recruited. He goes to Georgia Tech, leaves Georgia Tech for greener pastures. He ends up at Alabama. They're going to feed him. Dude, Alabama has receivers, but they always have receivers. Have they always had this kind of defensive end? They've had interior defensive linemen. Have they had this kind of defensive end? I don't think so. Will Anderson plus 2,000 for the Heisman. I will be riding that horse all year, no pun intended. And so with that, you kind of try to mull over a little bit of the Alabama hype. We're going to get into another team here, the Arkansas Razorbacks. Talk to me.
I am high, man. I'm high. Not high, actually. I'm high on Arkansas, man. I'm telling you. This team is good. It's like Tennessee. I think they're Tennessee level. And that's saying something with the competition in the West.
Okay.
They've got KJ Jefferson coming back.
Right. Yep.
Was he the best passer? No. Of course he wasn't the best passer. He got the job done, though. And I think that's the difference between some of these dual threat quarterbacks. He gets the job done. And there's a three-headed monster there in the run game. They've got him. They've got sophomore Raheem Sanders and junior Dominique Johnson. They both each had 500 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. Jefferson was also lethal on the ground. Their wide receiver room, look, they lost their best guy in Treylon Burks. Mm-hmm. But they get Jadon Hasselwood, the transfer from
Jaden Hazelwood.
Jaden, yeah. Jaden, yeah. And if we butcher some names, screw me. There's like a million kids in college, and they all have different names. So Hasselwood, man, great receiver in the Big Ten. I think he's going to translate well. Is he going to be as good as Burks? I think he's going to be just as good. I think he's faster than Burks, maybe not a better route runner. To me, and I think they were number one in the rush yards last year as far as SEC teams are concerned. Mm-hmm. I think they're close to the same just because they run the ball. They rely on it. They're very heavy on it. They're a team that's tough to beat. when they get the run game going. They slow the game down. They get everything in their favor. And to me, let me see what numbers I got for them. So DraftKings, it was 7.5.
Yep.
The over was plus 125. I've got them at 8 wins, 0 losses, and 4 50-50s. So just by myself, without 50-50s, I got them over the number. The 50-50 games being Bama, Mississippi State, LSU, and Ole Miss. I would be shocked if they lost all 4 of those. So I see them comfortably at 9 wins. So I think over it's actually plus 125. Hammering that. I think that's my third bet on my slip so far. I wouldn't touch the conference just because you're not really getting – there's a world where they don't match it because they play Cincinnati, who lost a lot of talent. Their non-conference schedule they should sweep. It's 4 wins, and they play some tough people. I don't think BYU or Cincinnati beat them. So and Liberty's obviously lost their best player. So I'm just sticking with the over 7.5 plus 125. Not saying KJ Jefferson's going to win a Heisman or anything. They're just one of those teams that's very well coached, and I think they're going to make a run this year. As far as the West is concerned, are they going to beat Bama? Probably not, but I think they're going to be just like Tennessee, contending and a threat to Georgia and Alabama. What say you?
If I were to make a claim today on who my favorite, like if I were a football player and I wanted to play based off of strictly personality, based off of strictly, I think I'm playing for Sammy P. Coach Pittman
hilarious. He's hilarious, dude.
He is. He's literally like that really nice uncle that goes to every single one of your football games and baseball games. Like he is. Yeah. He's at every family Christmas and always wants to give you a hug. Like he is the nicest guy, and anybody will tell you that. By the way, anybody that I talk to that you hear about, they talk about him. And again, I think the only reason why I struggle to want to bet and over for this kind of team is mainly because of the juice. I don't want to touch the under at minus 145 because now betting on them to suck, and I think that Coach Sam Pittman is the right man for the job. But I also don't really want to bet the over because it's only 125 and my payout's really not all that crazy on a team that I don't have enough confidence in to bet on. What is losing their offensive line coach look like. Obviously they were removed from Brad Davis for a year now. I understand that Coach Sam Pittman is the best offensive line coach in the nation. It is not even close. Many head coaches will tell you that. They did lose a lot. I am actually pretty high on a coach being worth at least a game and a half. To me, I think that you're probably going to cruise into A&M at 3-0. But then it's back to back to back. And then I think if you can maybe get to LSU without the wheels falling off, you've got a shot. Less confidence than Anthony, but I do think that the over more than likely hits. But I really wouldn't be shocked if they hit the under. Barring something unforeseen, that's a rough schedule. They literally have the roughest schedule every year.
There is one team that we're getting to soon that's rougher, but I'm still high on them. We'll get to them though. It's very similar. There's just no easy game in the West, especially when you got a non-conference schedule like freaking BYU and Cincinnati. I mean, those are 2 quality schools. They're not like Southern, or they're not like one of those BS schools that are just paid to go get their ass kicked.
Right.
So we differ there, but look, man. Everyone's going to differ. I just like what I saw. I like teams that return starters from a good team. And I think their offense, especially with a good run game and a solid defense, I just like the things I'm seeing over there. But what I don't like is the Auburn Tigers. And look, man, I'm not going to talk more about this. I've just got one comment. TJ Finley sucks. He's probably not going to be the starting quarterback, but there's a chance. God forbid that guy's a starting quarterback. Hammer the under if that guy's named the quarterback. They do have the transfer from A&M, Calzada or Calzada, whatever the hell his name is. He's dog shit too. I mean, he barely made it A&M. And they've got a guy, I think his name is Robbie Ashford from Oregon. There's a 3 quarterback race. They haven't named the guys yet. All 3 are dog shit. And Bo Nix is better than all of them by a little bit, and they sucked last year. They've got Tank Bigsby back, but what are you going to do with a good running back and no quarterback or receiver threat? Slightly above average defense. Their defense is always there. I think they made a huge mistake in firing Gus Malzahn, man. I just think and look, you get wide eyes at me all you want. That team has had some drama since they fired him. I think the things he did with that program are unaccounted for. I think they pulled the trigger too fast. It's the SEC. I get it. I get Bama's there. I get you're not always going to be there. But the fact that they got there several times is just not enough credit that goes to Gus, man. And I think they made a huge mistake in firing him. I think Central Florida is going to be pretty good in a couple of years, but they're just he's going to move on to a better job, I think, in the next year or two. Man, the under what's the total at? And we've got 6.5.
6.5
minus 170. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm still betting it. I think they suck. 3.5. The under's minus 195. Obviously, Vegas has no faith in them. I've got no faith in them. And if TJ Finley is named the starting quarterback of this team, I might go mortgage a house on them. He is horrible. Dog shit, dog water, horrible quarterback. And look, if he sees this somehow, I'm sorry, man. You're just not SEC talent. And I'm some fat dude sitting on my high horse here talking. I had plenty of time to watch this guy play, get so many chances to be great with good athletes around him, and did nothing but disappoint. So that's all I've got to say about it. I rambled a little bit, but screw Auburn and screw TJ Finley.
And again, I think mainly your frustration is coming from the money maybe you've lost on Finley. I'm going to try to stay away from naming it like that. But I'm just going to ask you a couple things. Let's do an exercise for me, okay?
Yeah.
You think Arkansas is good?
Yes.
You think Ole Miss is good?
Yes.
Who beat both of them last year?
No way. Auburn did, huh? Oh.
All I'm saying is
TJ Finley, who was the quarterback?
Look,
it was
listen,
not TJ Finley.
listen.
It was not TJ Finley. It was not Zach Calzada.
Linda,
Dog shit. TJ Finley can't beat Southern.
I am here to say I will not be betting my money on it. I think that TJ Finley is a good athlete. I think that he has had a really, really rough deck of cards for him. And to be honest with you, I think Zach Calzada might have been better served to try to stay at A&M. I think there might have been I don't want to say ruffled feathers, man. Jimbo loves the kid, and I'm sure he loved Jimbo. A lot of people love Jimbo, but I think that Harsin has a chip on his shoulder. That's one of those teams that we might, at the end of the season, look back and go, we might have let our emotions get the best of us on making a call on them. Frankly, I'm not going to touch it. I think maybe you stay away from it. If that number was 5.5, if that number was 6, I might want to get weird. Or if it was like a rounded 7 or something like that, then maybe. But anyway, no, I'm going to stay away from them.
Screw them, man.
We're going to get on to
Let me all riled up now. I didn't know they beat those teams last year. But look, they didn't have TJ Finley starting those games. I would bet my life on it.
All I'm saying is there is a lot of optimism from within the team. They did lose a lot, but they also got a few players that in the recruiting cycle that I did not think they would get. And I follow that as close as a regular civilian person can follow it. Good on him for being there and having good things to say at SEC Media Day.
Yeah, good. Speaking of, they have optimism, because I'm sure Vanderbilt has optimism too. Moving on, we're going to the best subject that we've got today, and I think it's the most controversial one: the LSU Tigers. And I read an article today on ESPN Plus that they're one of the most popular teams in Vegas right now. Their number, I think it was like plus 7,500 to win the national championship, and they're all the way down to 55-1. It's just one of those things, man. And I did some research on this. Okay, Brian Kelly's new head coach, right? Nick Saban, all the way back to Nick Saban in 2000. Every new coach that LSU has had, their first season, 7+ wins every time. And several of those teams were double-digit winners. So I'm going to let you have the floor on this. You know a lot more about them than I do, and I want to hear your opinion. I'm eager to hear this.
It's the SEC West that I pay close attention to every year, man, because they always have the best odds. They always have the best. You have an ear to ground because a lot of, and that's not to take anything away from the East, because I think the East has really good juicy odds too. But the SEC West always makes for the best kind of like candid, playbacks, the coaches speaks, all that. Look, again, I'm going to get back into what we kind of talked about earlier. Whenever you lose a lot and you have optimism, or you lose a little bit and you have, a different viewpoint. For LSU, you almost have to assume kind of what I said earlier, that the coach is going to matter for at least a game and a half, right? And if that's the case, if there's 2 games on the schedule that you don't really know how to feel about them, you are supposed to, with that being said, lay your money on them going 1.5 in those games rather than minus in those games. For me, I found, and again, this is not a DK odd, this is a different sports site. I found them as low as 6.5 wins. If DraftKings ever gets LSU at 6.5 wins, I would hammer the over, and I'm going to tell you why. As high as I am on the Alabama defensive line, and as high as I am on Alabama in general, I'm also equally as high on the LSU defensive line. Their defensive line weighs about as much as 38 Mack trucks that are all filled with gas. Like their whole MO is going to be, how much can we not put pressure on our defensive backs, because everybody back there is trying to get us situated anew. You have people that transferred out. Some of them went to Bama. Some of them go to Arkansas. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. Frankly, I think the whole accent, the Brian Kelly fitting in. Can we just talk about that for a second?
Go on.
When you talk about a coach fitting in, do you know where Nick Saban's from? The Midwest.
Yeah.
He was born in West Virginia, coached in the Midwest his whole career, came to LSU, won a national championship, greatest college coach ever. Okay. Skip Bertman is a Jewish guy from up north.
Sorry.
And Dale Brown, also from up north, from the Midwest. 3 best coaches that we ever had. And I think LSU is one of those teams where if you get the talent, you're going to do it. And I feel that same way about A&M, by the way. And we're going to get into them in a second. You get into the talent, you get into the team, you have the potential to make it happen. Is the coach right? A&M has talent. They're in Texas. They have the state to have the talent. But again, look, I'm gonna get off my high horse. We're gonna get into this for a second. LSU needs to be bet over. If it's at around number 7, I'm going over. I've already put my money on this. Please. Listen to me when I tell you.
You don't hear that?
If LSU gets going and they can stay healthy, please do not get pissed off when you mark this tape and you come back and you see that Brian Kelly is fat and happy and going into a really decent season going in. Everybody around the campus thinks they're going to go 9-3, 8-4, 7-5 is the floor. If 7-5 is the floor, then that means that I can still have the over and get my money back. Give it the over, bro.
It all comes down to the quarterback, man. And you know who we're hearing. You called it. We're hearing Nussmeier. He's going to be the starting quarterback. To me, I need to see the first 2 games.
Me too.
I think it would be a sin if they lost to Florida State. I just don't physically see it. I've made the argument that they could have lost the UCLA game last year. But, man, you just can't lose in New Orleans, in the Dome. First game of the season with Brian Kelly, man. That place is going to be packed on a Sunday night. It's like Monday Night Football, man. I don't see them losing that game. That's the pivotal game for them. I like over 6.5. 7 is tough. I don't want to jump on 7. 6.5, I'm all over. I'm all over 6.5. You like Kayshon Boutte. I think he's one of the best receivers in the class right now behind my boy Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's a great shot at Heisman. Maybe just a little sprinkle What are his odds? Do you have his odds by any chance? I don't know.
It was somewhere around like the 5,000 and 6,000s. It was not. Yeah. It was not good. I mean, it was. You're betting on it. In order for him to win, they'd have to basically do something that nobody thinks they're going to do and go 10-2, 11-1. Because even you had an Ole Miss team last year that had 10 wins and their quarterback couldn't even do it. Like Corral was easily just as much of an argument to win that as anybody else, and he still didn't. But again, I think there's a lot of questions with this team, which are fair, and I think it's definitely going to be a week-to-week basis team. Again, just like Florida, kind of like what we talked about, just like Tennessee, it's a week-to-week betting team. If you have a certain feeling, I would say probably go for the over because you have to assume that the active winningest college football head coach in the United States deserves to have a little bit of optimism. Sorry. I'll tell you a name. I'm going to tell you a name. Mason Smith is the name that everybody wants to talk about. He's huge.
Him and Ali Gay, huh?
Jaquelin Roy.
Ooh, I've got him marked down.
Jaquelin Roy, dude. I've got names like that for a lot of these SEC teams. Jaquelin Roy.
They got Matt House, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard great things about him.
Chiefs like him. Chiefs are pretty good.
Pretty sure the Chiefs are pretty good. To me, you have skepticism about quarterback, but you gotta trust the coach. I don't even want to criticize it. If Nussmeier is doing the damn thing, let him play, and I'm gonna trust. I trust Brian Kelly. I think he has the reputation to trust him. My worry is the running back position, and that's something that I don't know if the freshman talent are there. John Emery Jr. had some academic problems last year. I have skepticism about him. I need him to prove it to me. If John Emery Jr. has a good season, this team's going far. Without a run game, though, I think we're in trouble. Or they're in trouble. Oops. Trey's not looking at that. LSU is not my team either. I say we a lot because since we got into sports betting, and he's keeping a straight face, ever since we got into sports betting, you kind of lose fandom, right? Like when we had our favorite teams, the Eagles or one of our NFL teams, because screw the Saints and screw any other NFL team that exists. You just lose fandom. And to me, we got some fun teams that we like and we cheer for that we're betting against, and it happens. But to me, this team relies. I know you're trying to laugh. The tight end position's a concern for me as well.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell the tight end's going to be. I know they had Beck was like kind of the hybrid, but I heard he's moved to a full receiver now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're going to get into the tight ends, and again, I can make the same case. I can make the same case that Georgia's got a tight end problem because they need to prove it to me too. But when you have
Georgia has a tight end problem, Brock Bowers,
they need to prove it.
Gilbert.
But I'm saying I can make the argument. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they need to make the argument. I can make the same case that A&M's got a tight end problem.
Vanderbilt at the team if you're
I can say a lot of but again, look, and I'm gonna try to drop my mic on this. I called the Joey Burrow thing. The only reason why is because everybody all over Twitter that year was talking about Alabama this, Alabama that. I remember a certain specific person asking for us to put some money on that, and it didn't happen, but it's fine. I'll give you another name. That I think a lot of people are going to maybe have to get comfortable with, and that's Malik Neighbors. We got a couple of friends that have gone to LSU, a couple of people that are super high. Shout out to them. Malik Neighbors.
He had a great end to the year last year as well. So it's not crazy to say that. Good mic drop. On to one of the craziest coaches.
Come on.
Football. Mike Leach, man.
Yeah.
Dude, he's so awesome, man.
He's such a gangster, dude. He's such a gangster.
The difference between him and Lane Kiffin
stark
is just gangster. Lane Kiffin's not a gangster. Lane Kiffin's crazy, but he's not a gangster.
I like him.
I am high on Mississippi State, man.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
To me, they've got Will Rogers, and I think to me, you've got Bryce Young. And I think you've got the guy from Tennessee, and you got Will Rogers. Will Rogers set single
in
season
the Hendon
record.
Hooker category. Okay.
Hendon Hooker's a good runner.
Okay.
If we're talking about strict passing, Will Rogers is second.
Tennessee gonna throw it.
I'm okay with that. They better throw it. I'm
Will
okay
Rogers.
with that.
Well, I'm fine with that.
Single season records in passing completions, passing yardage, passing touchdowns.
You looking at 6.5 at -125 on the over under +105.
Hammer the over, dude. I'm
Okay.
telling you, man.
Okay.
Their front seven, I think,
Good.
is going to be
Good.
top 3 in the country. Dude.
Very, very good.
Top
Top
very
country. Okay.
Conference. My apologies.
Conference.
Country, it probably top 15 country. I mean, if we're being
They're
real.
good, man.
Their
That's a
secondary,
sneaky team.
their secondary is questionable. They were questionable last year. They got into a lot of shootouts. That's fine. When you got Mike Leach as your quarterback, you're going to be getting into some shootouts. But, man, I've got them going 6 wins, 1 loss, and 5 50-50 games. I just don't see them losing 5 50-50 games. I see them at least winning 1. Their number's at 6.5, -125 only. I think you hammer that, man. I don't think they beat LSU. I don't think they beat Arkansas, but Kentucky is a very winnable game, and I think that's where they get it done. Ole Miss, last game of the season, Egg Bowl can go either way. I think those are 2 very winnable games that they can get, and they just need to win one of those to get to the over. So I'm hammering the over. I love the offense. Defense, front seven's great, but teams like Bama with good passing offense will probably chew them up. So I want to say they're probably going to be 3rd in the SEC West, and that's bold. Maybe 4th, 3rd, or 4th. Ole Miss and them are very similar.
I'm gonna mark the tape. 3rd West. All right.
And that's what we're getting into, right? We're getting into Ole Miss.
Since you want to just roll right into it, let's just roll right into it, bro. Ole Miss. I've got Ole Miss over 7.5 at -135 with +115 at the under. I'm gonna say something controversial. I'm gonna say something that not a lot of people want to hear, and it's not because I don't like them. It's not because I don't respect Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin's a bucket. I think that if there is ever going to be a I want to drink beer with a coach contest, he's right up there on my podium. I like the fact that they went and got out every single warm breathing body that's athletic to come and transfer to their school is fantastic. I love the Zach Evans move, by the way. I think Zach Evans is going
I've
to
got that marked down.
Ooh, he's gonna tote that rock. But let me tell you something. I want to get into this for a second. They're gonna start the season 4-0.
I've got more than that, bud.
I think personally that they are going to split Kentucky and Vanderbilt.
Kentucky.
They're going to split Kentucky and Vanderbilt. And
what?
I also just want to let you know.
At home?
I think but listen, it could be a different game. Ole Miss is going to lose a game that we don't think that they should
lose to Vanderbilt.
They're not going to but they're going to lose to a team that they're not supposed to lose to. And I'm just going to say something. I'm going to take the under at 7.5. I'm taking the under at 7.5. And the reason, look, let me explain. The reason why I'm going to take the under is because I was so high on them last year, and I know that I can't strike lightning twice with the same team. I have to, for their best judgment, I have to bet the under and hope that I'm wrong and hope that they win the games. I have to try and not jinx them, because if I bet the over, they are going to blow.
No.
But if you're looking at their schedule, and I'm going to get off my pedestal here. If you're looking at their schedule, they play Auburn, LSU, A&M, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Which one of those games do you think you can mark today and go, damn, that's a win? Which one of them?
You know what I can tell you? They're starting the season 7-0.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
They're beating Troy. They're beating Central Arkansas. They're beating Georgia Tech.
That's fair.
Tulsa. That's 4-0. They don't even touch SEC. 4-0. They're going to have their shit straight. They're going to work those games out. And then they get Kentucky. And that's not the best SEC school. 5-0. Kentucky at home, and if you go on the road and lose to Vanderbilt, I just don't know what to say.
I think I misspoke when so the way I looked at the schedule and I was reading it while we were here, I think I misspoke on what the games they were splitting. They're not going to lose to Vanderbilt. That's not going to happen. I'll put my house on that. They're going to split Kentucky and Auburn. They're going to lose one of those.
They're going to split.
They're going to split Kentucky and Auburn. You have to listen to and read the tea leaves. I have to bet them this way, or it is going to screw up. But again, you have to assume that we're going to miss somewhere. Somebody, the odds every single year, you know this. Every year, somebody does worse than what the public thinks. And right now, the over is minus 135, juice is minus 115, at plus 115 for the under. If I am a betting person, I'm trying to make money. They don't have any confidence, from what I can understand, in their quarterback right now. Jackson Dart might come and beat an absolute bucket, throw for 5K and 40 tutties. He might, but he might throw for half that, Russo.
He's a bucket.
Anyway, look, I'm just telling you where the money's going. We can get into this. They're another team that's going to be a week-to-week betting team, by the way.
I'm telling you, man.
Week-to-week betting team. That's our first big – okay.
This team is starting 7-0.
That's our first
Book it, clip it, mark it.
Okay.
7-0.
I'm not saying that's impossible, but that last 5 –
if they lose the last 5, they don't deserve to win. I'm fine. I'm fine with losing.
They're going to lose a game that you don't think that they're supposed to. It happens to every team every year. It happened to Alabama last year. Tim, you came in there. Dude, A&M wasn't even good. Everybody that hates on Texas A&M is talking about Texas 8-4, and they went in there and beat Alabama. Do you think Alabama was better than A&M last year? Any team, any day, dude. Any team, any day, it can happen. And because we're talking about A&M, we're going to ride right into them. Please allow me to set the stage for this and just hang up and listen. We're going to get right into Texas A&M. I have them written down. I have got some notes on A&M. Let me just explain something very, very quickly. I am not going to try and piss off the cult and the fandom that is the 12th man. Kyle Field deserves all my respect. I hope that we can bring the show to Kyle Field. If you're listening, A&M, please have us on somewhere. Any of the radio shows, any of the betting shows, podcast shows, somebody from Texas A&M have us on your show, because I have so many things to talk about with Texas A&M. The number is 8.5 right now. I do not have the odds for 8.5. Please give me your odds, what the money looks like right now for A&M on DK.
Minus 150 over.
That is one of those teams that you're going to have to look at how they feel. There is no reason why they should not be winning more games than they're winning. If I had to make the bet today, I would take the under on 8.5. I think that taking the under on the 8.5, you're basically assuming they're going to be just as good, if not better than what they normally are, give or take the 50-50 games. They are another team in this league that I think you have to bet on the come for them. If you're going to beat them early, because you're not going to beat them late. LSU ended up beating them late on a last chance Hail Mary, and the quarterback went to the locker room, took his shirt off, and then went to College Station. Now he's toting the rock for him. Probably going to be the starter. Do you have faith in him? Because I don't really know.
No.
I don't really know what to think about him, dude.
I'm cutting you off.
If I had to make the money today, I'm going under.
I'm cutting you off.
Please.
I didn't even write notes down for this one, because this is coming straight from my bad heart.
Allow me to set the stage for you.
If anyone from the 12th man or Texas A&M wants us on their podcast, take Coach Trey, because Max Johnson is fucking horrible. He's worse than TJ Finley. He has no ball skill. He's left-handed. He's horrible. 8.5 wins they might not get 6 wins. I'm not kidding. They might not get 6 wins. Ultra mega whale under 8.5 plus money. My God, Max Johnson has no ball skill. He is horrible.
Listen.
No, I'm not listening. He is horrible. I don't care if they've got Randy Moss and they've got Mike Evans on the side. Max Johnson has no ball skills, and the only person he's going to be throwing to is his cowardly brother who transferred there, and he's dog shit. He's overrated. He's got no ball skill either. The Johnsons have no ball skill. The 12th man has no ball skill, and I see them riding on to the sunset, barely making a bowl, maybe 6 wins.
Okay.
That's my prediction. Okay. Max Johnson can go fuck off.
Okay. Obviously, you can kind of tell that, how we're going to try to structure this thing is to try to keep emotions out of it. But obviously, sometimes we're going to get away from ourselves. So please be aware to mark this tape as not kid-friendly after the 1:06 mark. Let me just go ahead and say there's a lot of optimism around Texas A&M for their recruiting class. The quarterback, the freshman that they have, Connor Wegman, that is, again,
they better start them.
Just like a Florida, you have to bet them to come. I am actually a believer in the recruiting cycle, and when you get enough players, at some point it's going to have to translate. But when is it going to translate? We've been doing the same song and dance every year. It's always our time. It's always it's us against the world. We're going to beat Bama. We're going to beat LSU. We're going to go on. Like when are they going to take the next step? I need to.
Jimbo's a bitch. I mean, like he can't even really. To me, there's a rivalry brewing, right, between him and Saban. There's some salt in the air between them. There's some NIL. No, man. They're good in the public, but deep down inside, those comments stung. And you know what? You know how a lot of people like Bama, right? Unless you're from there. I'm buying some Bama gear, and when they play Texas A&M, I hope Gibbs runs for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Bryce Young throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I hope they beat the shit out of Texas A&M. If I lose my totals bet, fine. If Bama beats the shit out of them, I'm a happy man. So
if there is one thing that you can take away from the podcast is that we did allow ourselves to go an hour before getting off the rails here. We'll try to keep it together here in the future.
We'll keep it together for an hour.
But again, I think you'll find that as we kind of progress in this space, we're going to give you a lot of good bets. We're going to get into it because we went so long.
Oh, my bet bad?
No.
Oh, you better not be calling my bet bad.
No, I'm not. What I'm trying to say is that there is a cadence to this kind of thing. And I think we're going to give you an example as to how we look at these bets more so coming on in the future. Obviously, there's a lot of information to get on our first episode, man. But I do want to just strongly urge some of you to be involved with sports betting if it interests you. If you're going to watch the game and spend 3 hours watching the game, get $10 and put some money on it. Like, I'm not saying to go put your mortgage on it and let your kids go hungry. But have a little bit of skin in the game, and it makes it fun, makes it interesting. There's going to be some lives. I'll just go ahead and break that news right now. There's going to be some lives. We're not going to release a social media platform just yet on what that live is going to look like. I personally think that as far as money is to be made,
there's a lot of money to be made. Man.
I'm already pretty optimistic about it, and we're going to get into the game by game, here obviously in the coming weeks. But
these are just your break even points. Like, these are just money coming down the line. Like, we wait for this. The real money to be made is week to week, and especially with me personally, player props, man. I feel like I'm pretty damn good at player props.
Oh, we're in the black.
This is just money that's coming in at the end. And if we're wrong, hopefully we win a lot more during the regular season to make up for any L's. What we'll do is we're going to come back next week. We're going to do some more conferences. We are an SEC. Obviously we're very strong and emotional about the SEC. We know our football in the SEC, but there's some money to be made. When we see money, we're going wherever it matters, whether it's at 10 a.m. on the East Coast or we're going all the way to an 11 p.m. game in Hawaii. That money is money. There is no fandom when it comes to sports betting. I've realized that in the 5 years I've been betting all my favorite teams. I'll bet against my favorite team. I don't bet with my heart. You bet with your mind. And I think we're going to have a really good show for you guys. We're going to have some lives coming. The social media is coming. I think this is a great episode, man. We went an hour 13, but, man, I think we had some pretty good conversations. Lost off the rails a little bit towards the end, but when you get emotional and you mention teams that you just don't really have a great place in your heart for, that's going to happen. So that's it, man. I think we're done. Episode 1, about an hour 15. Pretty entertaining watch. Be on the watch out for our podcast on YouTube. We've got some other apps coming out soon. That news will break as our videos come out, and subscribe. Don't be hesitant to subscribe. 4th and 1 podcast on YouTube right now. Videos should be coming out soon. Trey, any last words?
No, man, and again, I think everybody here that knows how this thing goes is that you have to kind of pay attention to the picks and then listen to the dialect and then make your best assessment for yourself. All I ask, and this is all I'll ever ask, is like and follow. If you shoot us a like, it helps the algorithm. It helps push us up into your recommended bar whenever you're looking for content that's, when you open your app, and we want to be there for you. We want to do this. We're going to do it. I mean, it's entertaining for us. We're going to do it whether we have 2 subscribers or 2 million. We obviously have a lot of, money made in the, I'm not telling you that we're going to sit here and get you that condo in Manhattan type money just off the rip, but stay with us. We do work in the black. I am confident in saying that we have won more than we have lost as far as college football is concerned. Be ready for Coach Trey's picks as far as the Heisman is concerned. There's a couple of other players that I want us to really try to pay attention to. And as far as what we talked about, the East and the West Coast. Sneak peek, one of my favorite games is going to be the first week of the season that's happening on the other side of town. So we'll get ready for that. Other than that, man, thank you guys for being here, and just really privileged to have this space again.
Peace.